This podcast provides a platform for our guests to share their experiences and inspire our listeners to be brave and bold in pursuit of their dreams. As you listen, we invite you to explore how these concepts apply to your own story. You know what to do. Be great and be grateful. We're mic'd up with Mike DiCioccio. Hey guys, my guest today joined the Marine Corps when she was 19. Then she became a life and business coach, entrepreneur, world traveler, keynote speaker, a writer, homeschooling mom of 3, and she's an absolute rock star. Welcome to the show, Laura Marsala.
Hey, Mike. So happy to be here.
Thanks for being here. You know, we've been planning this for quite some time, and I'm glad we can make our schedules connect today, and people are going to really benefit from your story. And I know you strive to live a healthier, wealthier, more fulfilling, passionate, and purposeful life. And that, like, the second I met you, you know, when we were doing some networking, that part of your story was just shining through right away. So I love that. Can you share when that vision for yourself was first created and kind of what has you doing what you're doing today?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, it started, when I was a teenager. When I was about 17 years old, I really felt just deep down that there was something more than just what I saw around me. And eventually that led into me going into the Marine Corps, and just I had these big dreams and these aspirations, and I really wanted to go for it. And just through the years, it's always cultivated into something new, something bigger, something more involved with community. And it's always revolved around me serving.
Perfect. So let's kind of back up a little bit. I know I wanted to dive in to give people kind of an overview of what you're all about and what you're involved with right now. But I realized there was a kind of a moment where that personal development really started. So can you tell us a little bit about like how you got recruited into the Marine Corps, right? And then, I know the mindset is once a Marine, always a Marine. So I want you to kind of talk about that. Give us some insight into how that actually shaped you into who you are today.
Actually, I wasn't recruited per se. I actually walked right into a recruiter's office, specifically into Marine Corps office, and said, sign me up. So I kind of recruited myself. But actually where it started was I was in a criminal justice program in school, and they had some military people come in and drill us and do some PT, which is physical training. And I love the intensity. I loved the push. I loved the challenge. It was really exciting for me. And so I had asked my guidance counselor, I said, hey, I want to talk to a recruiter. Mm-hmm. And he thought it was a terrible idea. He's like, you should go to law school and focus on, education and stuff. And, this is back, where there was a lot of things going on too. But I was like, no, I want to talk to a recruiter. So he set me up with somebody. And actually the person that came in to talk to me was like in these really fancy dress blue uniforms. And I was like, this is not what the guys look like that came in before. Where's the combat boots and the utility uniforms? Yeah. So I was like, who is this guy? And before I even let him talk, I was like, let me tell you why I'm interested in the military and what I want to get out of it and where I see myself in 5 years. And the guy was just like, because I was like a 17-year-old teenager. Right. And he was like, wow, the Marine Corps would be perfect for you because it's the best of the best. And I was like, say no more. And so I just always knew that that's what I was going to do.
Are you currently active in it, or is that something that you...
No, so my last year of active duty was 2013.
Oh,
making me feel old.
Hey, all of us, when you think about that being 7 years ago, it's like, okay, mind blowing.
Yeah, I was active for 4 years.
Yeah. And so you went in there. I mean, if you're going to go in there knowing you wanted to sign up and kind of get into it, was there something even before that? Did you have family that was involved in either the military or Marines that was an influence for you?
Yeah. So actually my brother, he was 18 when he went to the Air Force. And so he's always been like my role model, somebody I looked up to. Cool. And my dad's, always raised me to be very patriotic, very centered around country and pride in that. And actually, the day I knew that I wanted to serve my country was when September 11th happened. I just remember sitting on the floor in my living room watching people jump out of burning buildings, and just this thing in my heart just like exploded. And I just knew I was like, I'm going to serve my country someday. So that for me was like the moment that I first realized that I wanted to serve, that I was here to serve. And that's what I wanted to do with my life. So that was the first thing. And then definitely the second moment was when they had come into my class when I was 17. Yes, this is it.
So I know a big part of what you focus on in your coaching is personal development, right? Before we kind of go down that because that's a whole topic, like we could do a whole hour on that alone, right? So I don't want to give away too many of your secrets, but I'm looking for, how I want to kind of connect. So your the things you learned, right, while you were a Marine. I mean, that's just like life lessons right there. All right. I can't describe it. I didn't experience it myself. So that's why I'm kind of looking for you to help me out and make it understanding. But if you can connect what you learned there into some of your personal disciplines and habits that you now have incorporated into your life that have led you into a stronger entrepreneur, business person. Not everybody that's listening right now may be a business owner or entrepreneur, but you could be an athlete. You could be you could be a mom, you could be a dad. The disciplines in everyday life that help you be the best maximum version of yourself. Can you speak how those two correlate?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Mike, you nailed it on the head when you said discipline. Like that is the number one thing, like the level of leadership, the level of consistency, the level of discipline and passion and purpose I had to pour into being a Marine every day. And, something I really admired about being a Marine was once all the training was over and you get on the inside, it doesn't stop. You just keep going. Like the best of you is always expected, and then some, and then some, and then some. And so that discipline that I learned is just like ingrained in me. You can't take it out of me. So I really pour that into like my personal development and changing people's mindsets and what it really takes. And a lot of times, when people come to me, they don't necessarily have that accountability, have that discipline. And so that's where I kind of come in and do that work for them until they get to that next level where they can kind of carry themselves on.
And people can tune into you at lauramarsala.com. That's Marsala.
Yes. Yep.
And that's where you can tune in and check out her coaching programs. And they focus on gaining clarity on what you really want. And you mentioned on there, stop trying to live up to other people's expectations. So shine some light on the importance of clarity first and execution second.
Such a big one. That's something that it really came to light for me when I was working a lot in the schools with students, is a lot of these kids have these aspirations and dreams based on what their parents want of them, or what looks good on TV at the moment, or what their friends are doing. And so obviously working with adults, you get to see like someone in their 40s, 50s, 60s have been chasing a dream their whole life that wasn't even theirs. So when you're getting the clarity of what you really want, like what's going to actually make you happy, not the blueprint of, get a nice job and go on 2 vacations a year and get the white picket fence with the house and the dog and things like that. But really what makes you happy, what makes you tick, what makes you want to jump out of bed in the morning and just like shine a light on yourself. That clarity is what's going to actually build the life that you want. And that really stems into like everything I do. That's pretty much the foundation. I always, ask questions and figure out, is what you're coming to me to get really what you want? What happens when we get it? Are you really going to be happy? And so a lot of times people realize like, oh my God, I don't even want that. And then with that.
When turbulence hits and turmoil's there, if it's not something you're willing to like die for, fight for,
Don't live for it. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're not willing to you're living for it, literally, like, there's a bigger purpose than yourself, then that's when it can be kind of easy to turn your back on it, or maybe it bounce around a little bit. And I found myself doing that whenever I didn't find fulfillment in something, I was always like trying to find the next thing. So how do you, so you asked, you mentioned that you ask your clients a lot of questions to make sure they're actually on purpose first, right?
Yeah.
So how are they going to be the best version of themselves to achieve greatness if they're not already doing something that they're amped up and on purpose for? So it's like, find the purpose first, right? And that's the clarity I was talking about. Then you can go and start to execute and take actions on it. Once you build habits, right? Build habits daily. So to follow up, my next question is like, how do you actually help someone realize their potential and be more purpose driven? Is there something that we can get out to our audience so they can start to think about that for themselves?
Yeah, a lot of times people, they say, what's my purpose? I don't know what it is. How do I figure it out? It's either I don't like anything, I don't have any interests or any hobbies, or I like a lot of things and I can't pinpoint because I'm all over, they're more liminal. They don't really
Mm.
belong on any one island. And it's really, it's a simplified things. A lot of times people try to complicate the steps and the measures and things like that. And really what it does, it's the ego's way of separating us from actually achieving and attaining our goals, which just kind of keeps us in like this rat race mentality. So it's interesting how that self-sabotaging comes up when somebody like really desperately does feel like they want to start like living a more purposeful life. So I simplify it for everybody. The purpose that you have in your life is to be the best version of who you are. Just do you, be you, and flow from that. And a lot of times people are like, what does that mean? And how do I even do that? And depending on where they are in their lives in different categories, depends on what work that we do. But it's kind of like, they get to take a deep breath and relax. And it's really not this terrible, complicated process that everybody thinks it is.
Yeah. And something you mentioned earlier too, that I think a lot of times people may not intentionally find themselves doing. Like, it's not like you wake up in the morning and you think you're going to do this, but you mentioned people pleasing, right? And I
Yeah.
think it's like it stems from family as well. Like, you don't want to let your parents down, so that can be even from a young age. Maybe it's something like, you get your kid into hockey or whatever, right? And maybe they're not really big into that, and then all of a sudden you get them into something else. Or you try to put them through law school. Like you said, you had people saying criminal justice is where it's at. That's where your paycheck could be. And you're like, but that's not what I actually want to be doing. So if somebody's listening right now and they find themselves kind of people pleasing, even if it's unintentional, but now they're actually reflecting on it, so it's top of mind, what would you tell them? Like, how can you help them through a personal development standpoint? And like elaborate on that a little bit. How can you direct them to kind of get away from that?
Yeah, there's three things that I teach people just starting out when they find themselves people pleasing or trying to
Mhm.
live up to other people's expectations, or even the false expectations they put on themselves because of what they tell themselves they need to do. And it's called approval, security, and control. And
Mhm.
out of these three things stems all of your issues, your problems, your relationships that aren't where you want them to be. And so if you really ask yourself, am I doing this for my approval, or am I doing this for approval of my family, my friends? And really ask yourself and allow whatever answer comes up to come up and actually deal with that. And that's the big kicker. Is a lot of people ask the question, but then boom, they close the book too fast to even get the answer. So it's allowing yourself to actually really sit with whatever comes up. And then security. Do I have this job because of the financial security? Am I tying my own worth and my own security and my own safetiness into my paycheck? Am I tying it into this relationship? Am I tying it into my family? Am I tying it into, it could be anything. And then how can I provide that sense of security for myself regardless? And then of course the control. Am I trying to control this situation because I feel completely like in control of everything else that's going on in my life? And that shows up a lot in relationships too. So there's those three things that you can start doing immediately, just asking yourself and setting alarms throughout the day too. So you could be in the middle of your work day or in the middle of some time with your family and it pops up and you just go, what am I doing in this moment? And in any way am I doing this to seek approval, security, or control externally instead of
Mhm.
sourcing that internally?
So a lot of self-reflection and even mindfully scheduling it so an alarm goes off and think, hey, let me reflect. Am I on
Catch
purpose?
yourself.
Yeah,
Catch
catch yourself.
yourself when you're not expecting it, because that's when the stuff's actually happening.
I think that's great. I never thought
Yeah.
about doing that. So tell us more about how can somebody, like, obviously coaching, having a business coach, or as an entrepreneur to have a mentor. Are those two different things, a business coach and a mentor? And then how important is it from an accountability standpoint? You're talking about setting an alarm just to think about self-reflection, but what about like a lot of times as a solopreneur, we can be moving in a direction that seems right, but we're not even seeing it from maybe the big picture. And a business mentor or coach can simply like see that we're maybe going in the wrong direction and help us. So talk about how coaching and mentorship is really so important for a solopreneur, entrepreneur, really anybody.
Yeah, Mike, it's so important. It's important for everybody. I mean, Steve Jobs had a coach, Oprah had a coach, like everybody who is anybody had a coach. And the reason why is because not just the accountability that you get, because a lot of people need that accountability. They need that positive reinforcement. They need, they need somebody there to keep them in check. But really, you need somebody to look at the situation that you're in from another angle. You need that. I have several coaches. I have coaches for my children, and I have coaches for my business, and I have mentors. And I mean, yes, everybody needs to have a coach. And for me, the difference with coaching, I offer a coaching program and a mentorship program. And the coaching program is what I offer to individuals that really maybe they don't know where to start, or they've got a lot of things going on that they need to be coached on. So really more like a life coaching thing. And then my mentorship program is for other healers, other coaches, other consultants, like people like that are in the work. They already have business and they just need to see another angle. They want to learn how to grow their marketing influence. They want to learn these things. And they just, everybody has their own blocks. So even if you're in the business of, marketing or healing or energy work or anything like that, you're going to have your own things that there's always something that you could be working on. And to have somebody tackle that for you, they kind of like take that magnifying glass and say, whoa, you need to work on this. And then them walking you through it, it's priceless. It's invaluable.
Now, are you personally in a mastermind group, which kind of helps you from that mentorship and accountability standpoint, where it's now bringing that one-to-one conversation into a group setting? And if you're not in one, talk a little bit about the benefits of, seeking that out as well, to keep that accountability month after month after month.
Absolutely. I finished a 6-month mastermind that was incredibly intense. It was, mind, body, soul. Like it was an entire wholesome course. It kicked my ass. That's exactly what I asked for. And then I also did a 5-week energy healing intensive, which is really, really amazing. That was another international program that I did. And so from some of the people in those groups, we've got our own little group that we continue to do, and we talk sometimes even daily, but usually weekly. And it's always important to just, we'll even ask each other, what's the one thing, because we know each other very well. In these programs, you get very close with people. They get to see all the good, all the bad, everything in between. And you get to ask them, like, what's the one thing that you see holding me back? Or what's the one thing that I should be improving? Or, how am I getting in my own way? And they tell you, and you get to sit with that and figure out how to maneuver through it. And it's just all about having that hunger for getting better. Like I want to learn more about myself so I can be better. And the more I learn, the more I can teach. And when you have that mindset of I'm always a learner, then you're always going to learn. You're always going to grow.
And the teacher is essentially the student a lot too.
Yes.
In setting, I found even for myself, like when I'm in a mastermind setting and a few people are talking about their challenges and tough decisions they need to make, and it might click for me to have a solution or a recommendation for them that I need to apply myself even, but it's like I'm helping them out. And then in that moment where I'm helping, I'm also learning and thinking, okay, cool. I know I've done this a few times and I've seen it work. I just reminded myself I need to do it more frequently, right?
Yeah, I love that you say that, because I had some clients that just like exploded with success. And I was like, whoa. And they were blown away, but I was really blown away because, you get to see where they start from and where they jump to. And I was like, wow, they are having incredible success. What are they doing? And so I actually went back and was like, what was the work I had them doing the last month? And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this too.
Yeah.
So it's really incredible. For me as a teacher and my students and my clients, I'm always learning from them. As they grow, I grow. And that's why I love them so much.
Yeah, there's no finish line. Every great instructor is also learning and growing. It's like you're not just standing on a pedestal saying, I'm going to do some coaching here, right? I'm going to maybe do a workshop and just teach. I mean,
Absolutely.
you're
You always
constantly.
have to be doing more work than your students. Like,
Mhm.
if I have some students saying, "Oh, I'm really busy this week, so I can't fit in," I like literally like cut them off because I promise, guarantee you, I'm doing 10 times more work than you're doing. I have to live the talk. I have to
Right.
actually, I have to be able to do it. Otherwise, they don't really have anything to offer them. So yeah, absolutely, 110%. You got to be on your A game and leading the way by example.
It's something that entrepreneurs naturally do is overcome adversity. It's going to find you at some point in time. It's a lot of times it's early on in the beginning. And that's why you're saying, like, if you're not purpose driven, it's easy to get knocked down and kind of either stay down or go find a different path. When you're really on purpose and you have this amazing vision and you want to help, it's not a self-centered thing. It's a giving thing. Um, can you talk about a time when you personally had to overcome adversity and how you can use that to help inspire our listeners that, hey, look, when you get kicked down or knocked down, you got to get up off that mat. But tell us about a time when you experienced that. It could be any experience in life.
Oh
Doesn't
man, I
coaching.
mean, there's so many, but honestly, when you were talking about overcoming adversity and challenges, the first thing that popped in my head was when I was in the Marines. And talk about adversity. When I joined, it was 2009. We were right in the middle of both the wars. And I mean, the Marine Corps is, like yay big. And then with us deploying thousands of Marines, we were like, yay big. So it was very tough. We were incredibly undermanned. And so talk about adversity, talk about 14 people doing a 65-person job on like a daily basis and no sleep and just not even knowing when you're going to go home. And it's just like the strain everywhere. And the way that we came together and tackled it with this, just like this feasted hunger, like this challenge is exciting because we already know we did it, and just kind of having that like appreciation for yourself and your team, like the people around you that like get it done, like we get things done. That's just who we are. So I think when you have adversity, what's your identity? Are you the person that figures it out no matter what? And are you the person that has fun while you're doing it? Like, what's your identity? Because your actions and behaviors come from that. So I think like if you're going through a really tough time, ask yourself why is it feeling so negative for you and how can you turn that around? A lot of times even the smallest thing can happen and we blow it out of proportion and we talk about it. And really, it's just like the fun part is coming up with a solution. I love to turn around and say, whoa, that was a huge issue. And look at how we broke through it. And
Yeah.
and a lot of people listening know that, to really go far, to really do the work and really make a big impact, you can't do it by yourself. You've got to have a team around you. You've got to have people around you. And that takes strength too, to say, hey, two stronger than one, and let's do this together. So if you're finding yourself really struggling, look around and ask yourself, have I positioned myself around other key players?
Mm-hmm.
That's the first step.
Yeah, surround yourself with people with like-minded mentality and vision.
There's more to it than that, because I get that so much. These people that have the like-minded mentality and they talk and talk. You want to surround yourself by like-minded doers.
I love it.
You got to surround yourself by the people that are showing up and doing it. And sometimes those are the quietest ones.
I love it. Yeah, they're not, they're letting their actions speak for them. Someone I follow on a regular basis too. He's been extremely popular in social media as well. Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yeah.
Gary
Okay.
V.
Yep.
Love Gary. And something I see him talk about quite a bit is to be successful, follow what your strengths are, right? Your superpower, and just continue to hammer home what you're phenomenal at, and then build a team around the things maybe that, rather than like, I think as we grow up, we're always trying to solve for being almost a flat line where if you're strong here and you're weak here, you got to focus on your weaknesses because, all the other kids are reading at this level and you're not really a great reader. So you need to get up to their level, but you're great as a gymnast, but okay, that's just one thing you do in gym class, but and all of a sudden it's like we try to create all these flatliners instead of like a superstar in one thing. Maybe you're a great songwriter, right? So you should go and you should be writing songs and performing and enjoying your craft. Maybe you're not the best at this. I'm not saying don't spend any time in it, but Gary's point is do what your superpower is, that you can really serve the world the best, by being yourself, and then get your accountant that, you're not.
Yeah, build a team around everything else. Yeah.
Build the team around it. So I think that's great. And it speaks to what you were just talking about. And again, so I see you on social media with your beautiful family, and I love seeing it.
Thank
I
you.
can tell you carve out a lot of mom time, which is great, right? For the health
Yeah.
of your business and your mindset, and just, doing what, at the end of the day, what your vision is. And I want to speak for you. So tell me, what is your mindset for a balanced life and enjoying time with your family? I know it's a
Oh
tough.
my gosh, I love this question because I hear so much that, people will say there's no such thing as balance and success. They don't exist in the same world. And it just like, it's not the truth. It's not true. And so I actually have a formula and a method that I structure with all of my students and my clients that I use with us because I was doing the same thing. When I started getting really successful and I was just like, I don't have the same time that I have with my children. I don't have the same time that I had with my friends. I can't go out and do these things. And so, I realized I have 24 hours in a day. What am I doing with them? So I really I have enough time to create balance in my life with the top three most important things. Obviously, that's myself, my family, and then my life's work. So everything that I do for myself is going to naturally pour into these other two things. And that's what I spend 80% of my time doing. The rest of the 20% is just going on, okay, I've got this flex time. That's what I call it, flex time. That's not scheduled around these things. But do they still fall in line with my purpose, my impact, or my legacy?
It's so good.
So if I say I have balance and harmony in my life and I'm incredibly successful and I don't sacrifice that mom time and I don't sacrifice my life's work and I don't sacrifice taking care of, the goose that lays the golden egg, people say, well, how? And it's like, well, if I was trying to hang out with my friends and keep caught up with all the new movies and go to the new bars and stay up late at night doing God knows what and 15 different things, then you're not going to have balance in your life, whether you're successful or not.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But if you really narrow down what are my three top priorities as a whole, as a person, what are those three top things? I can actually create success and balance and live in the same world with that.
And the thing too, a lot of times I see people, they don't have a balanced life, but they're doing a lot of things for others, meaning like they have a job and they need a second job and they have a babysitter raising their kid. So their life is all out of sorts and it's not balanced at all, but they're still not even doing like a purpose-driven lifestyle. And
yeah,
I totally feel for people, like you got to do what you need to do to make it happen, right?
they just don't know a better way. They've been sold on, the other story.
Yeah, exactly. So what is next for Laura? Like, tell us, obviously you don't want to always be looking too far ahead because you got to be present in the moment with your clients. But what's next for you, and what's your big vision? Like, where are we going to see you? I mean, you're already a budding star, and I love, like, I met you maybe a year ago, right? And you've already accomplished so much in that period.
Thank you.
What's next? What's a big vision?
Yeah, honestly, I always set goals a year ahead. I have, in incredible detail. December is definitely the time that I already have, all my plans, all my goals for 2020. They're broken down into little everyday steps to take to get there. And I also have, plans and goals for the next 20 years too. But really what I've been practicing is just being really present. And in the last year, I've really blown myself away with what I've been able to do. I said I was going to start homeschooling my kids, which I've no experience doing. I've never done before. Everybody was like, that's crazy because you're an entrepreneur. And I did it anyway. And I was able to create balance and structure around that. And so my children can come with me to conferences and business meetings. And even when I go and speak at schools, my kids come with me. And if I go coach some clients that have children, my kids go and play with their kids while I coach the parents. It's really incredible. And so really I'm literally doing what I want to do. I'm in my purpose. I'm creating an impact and I'm building my legacy. So the big picture for me is just continuing on and growing as it naturally will.
Yeah. I love that. And how do you find yourself doing like self-reflection every day? Is there a particular time you do that to make sure you're on, not to, go back to our earlier questions, but So you talked about everything you're doing and kind of your mindset with your clients, and you apply that to yourself. You're also a mom. You have three or two kids?
Great.
Three. Yeah.
Great.
I knew you're juggling a lot right now. You're doing workshops and one-on-ones, um, and you're bringing them along for the ride. So how old are they? And can you talk to anyone right now in the audience? Maybe they are considering homeschooling or they already are, and how you work through some of those challenges.
Yeah, it really goes back to my discipline in the Marine Corps. Time management is like on point. Okay? Like, so to answer your first question, yes, I do self-reflection every single day. I have time carved out for everything, and because this is what I teach people to do, that gets to be part of my job. Like, what are you doing for work? I'm reading a book. What are you doing for work? I'm meditating. What are you doing for work? I'm traveling to like Arizona for energy vortexes, like things like that. Like, I've really created an incredible life for myself. And when I started homeschooling my children, so my oldest is 9, she's my daughter, my son is 7, and then I'm my youngest baby girl, she's 3. She actually turns 4 on February 9th, and I can't believe it. So a lot of the things I heard about, like with homeschooling, was, oh my gosh, it's crazy and challenging and things like that. And I've always just been the person even since I was a teenager. Like, when I hear something and I don't want to live that reality, I reject it. I actually would say no, that I don't accept that. That's not, truth with a capital T. That's not my reality. And then I obviously carve out, well, if they're doing it this way and they're complaining and they're miserable, then I'm going to do something different. It's a lot of trial and error. It's a lot about, a lot of times people give up because they try, 5 times, and then they, if I did that, trust me, my kids would be back in school, right? So it's just about trial and error. It's like, what works not just for me but for them. They're 3 different individuals, so mom is going to make everybody happy. So, but really, honestly, like, I'm not the only one on a schedule. The children are on a schedule.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible to see, like, just what I've been able to give them with that discipline, that structure, that schedule, and they blow me away. Like this, I mean, they blow me away. It's just, offer them this environment to thrive in, and they will really blow your mind.
It's amazing how much I have my 4-year-old daughter. She's turning 5 next week, so not sure when this episode will come out. She's already going to be 5 when it's out, but just to see how the development from birth to 5, how quickly that goes, and like how much I'm even learning just watching her, like how she reflects on and thinks about things in the world that inspires me, like seeing her little heart develop, like development and the reflection. It's like what we can learn from our kids. But I know your kids are going to benefit totally from your mindset, mentality, and having a mom like yourself,
Thank you.
strong-willed, like you're not living by what other people think you should be doing. You're doing what's in your heart, and I can't wait to see how that helps with their development. Did you say you have 3 girls?
So I have 2 girls, and my middle is my boy.
Oh, that's your son. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
he's lucky. He's the middle child.
yeah.
He's the boy.
So hey, he's going to take care of his 2 sisters. So I'll always have that. Yep. So I always like to wrap up with this. It kind of ties everything and puts a big bow on our whole conversation. And it could even be some new information that you didn't share with us yet. So if you can give one message to our audience, if you can tie it together, leaving them inspired to be brave and bold in pursuit of their dreams, which is my show mission, what would that be?
To really just go for it. Just go for it. Just do it. I have people in my life that I look up to and I admire, and they've come to me and asked me, like, oh, how did you do it? It's like, I just did it. I just did it. Are you more afraid of failing, or are you more afraid of being miserable, being unhappy? Like, have that, everyone's got that fire. Just light it, find that thing that lights it. And when you just really tap into what you want and you stop caring about how it looks or what it sounds like, and you just do what you want to do, you will set yourself on fire, and your fire will set everybody else on fire. And once you get a tiny taste of that, there's no turning back.
That's contagious, right? Like your positive spirit, your energy. People see you doing what you love. Like, what's she doing? I want to be doing what she's doing.
Yeah.
What's his influence? And again, then everybody benefits, right? Because it's going to continue to to create more energy, positive energy into the world, which is, again, another reason I'm doing this. Is there's a lot of ways to find negative energy. Just turn the news on. And this is
I don't watch the news.
right. And it's like, I don't want to say I'm ignorant and I avoid learning about what's going on in the world. But if for the 10 minutes it might be on, I'm just hearing about all this negativity and everything. And it's like, I want to learn about how we can make situations better.
Yeah, and there's so, like, I used to hear that a lot too. And a lot of times I get messages from people on Facebook and Instagram all the time saying, I love your post. There's such a positive break from all the negative stuff I see. And I ask them, well, you do know that you can decide what you see on your news feed, right? Like, you can unfollow people and start following people that's positive. You can turn off the news. You could read a book. You literally have so much control over what you hear, over what you see, over what you accept, over what you're focusing on, that there's really, it just kind of like takes all the excuses away. So if you're like, wow, there's a lot of negativity, that's where your focus is at. Change it, because there's a lot of positivity in the world too.
Yeah.
Just what are you looking at?
Shine some light on that. So where can we follow you? Tell us about your social channels. And then who are some of the people that you follow to get that positive energy?
Oh my gosh. Well, the first place I always go to is myself. I always make sure that I don't touch my phone. I don't look at my phone. I really don't get involved with any of that until I've really tapped in here and create, really learning, how do I create that positive energy? And then if I'm needing anything, I love Grant Cardone for a great laugh or a great like fire kick. Like, he's really good for that. Like, if you're having one of those days where you feel like, maybe I don't have enough energy or whatever, if you turn him on for 30 seconds, you'll be like up jumping. Like, Dr. Michael Beckwith, I love this guy. He is like an incredible thought leader and just like, a huge mentor of mine. I love all the things that he shares with energy and how you really do control the things that you draw into your life. So those are the, two people that I go to mainly for that.
Perfect. And what about yourself? How can we follow you? What's your
Oh yeah. So my website, lauramarsala.com. And then also I'm on Facebook. I have a personal page and I also have a business page. So you can follow me on both or one or the other. I'm on Instagram. All my links for that is actually on my personal Facebook page. You can find all that stuff there. That'll probably be the easiest way.
And I'm going to have links in here too. So anyone who's watching this is available full length on YouTube and of course on Apple, Google, Spotify if they're listening in. And again, lauramarsala.com, and you can check it out there and also follow her on Facebook. And thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I know you have 100 things you could be doing right now. So
yeah, thanks so much, Mike. This is great.
Yeah, I'll continue to obviously follow you. And I know we even have some workshops we want to do together. Yeah. So
looking forward to that.
As that starts to become a reality, we'll let everybody know. But I'll let you get running.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. Hey guys, as always, a huge thank you for tuning in. Laura hit us with a lot of great info on personal development, and I really respect what she's building in the coaching space. Her story of why she served our country was really moving, and I like to take every opportunity possible to send a shout out and a special thank you to anyone who's currently serving or who has served our beautiful country. Seriously, I don't want that to ever be taken for granted. Let's reflect in a state of gratitude for those who keep us safe every single day. Number 2, stop people pleasing. As Laura mentions a few times in this episode, you do not need to seek other people's approval. Reflect on it. Think about what you want to be doing, how you feel you can serve the world. You get one chance here on this planet. Be grateful for being here first and foremost, wherever you're at. Be grateful for that moment and then what you can do with it, right? And so stop seeking other people's approval to be doing what they may wish you are or are not doing. It's all about what you feel called to do. And if you're really unsure on it, I can tell you, reflect or simply silence your mind, turn off your phone, turn off your computer. If you've never meditated before, it may be difficult, but just listen to your heart. If you're spiritual, listen to the powers above. That's always guided me in the right place, especially the closer I get, the more connected I get, the more I feel a clear path being paved for me. So guys, get laser focused on what you want and plan on how you're going to achieve it. Build the life that you want, as Laura mentions a few times as well. Too many people are fighting for something, and when they step back, they realize it's not even truly what they want. So I don't want that to be you. You guys got to get laser focused on what you want. If you'd like to get involved with my LLS campaign, which is for the Man and Woman of the Year contest to raise money to battle blood cancers, simply visit mikeduppodcast.com, which is MIKEDuppodcast.com. You can click on Mike's Warriors and you can join us in the campaign, which kicks off in only a couple weeks. So there's going to be more updated information on there. So stay tuned on the dates because it looks like it's actually moving up a week, which is exciting. One more week for us to campaign. Again, why we're doing that, we're helping children, we're helping women and men who are currently battling blood cancers, or maybe you're listening to this and you know someone who lost a family member to a battle with leukemia, lymphoma, myeloma, or any other form of a blood cancer. If it's heavy on your heart and you want to do this in honor of them, MikeDuppPodcast.com. Click on Mike's Warriors and you can learn more right there. And of course, if you're looking for more show notes and information, you can visit our website as well. We're powered by Social Chameleon. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. You know what to do. Be great and be grateful.